Is working? All right. So I don't subscribe to Verlisify or whatever, but I, for whatever reason, get some of his like videos, and I started watching the one for Let's Go Johto Confirmed, and Jesus fucking Christ, y'all. I want to talk directly to you, Verlisify, whatever your name is, but I'm also talking to other people at the same time. You got to knock that kind of stuff off. The contents of that video was so nasty, and you talk about misinformation, and all you did was misinform and miscalculate, and you just talked down to anyone who didn't really appreciate what you had to say. And so I'm over here. I've got like a piece of paper with writing on it because I've got a bunch of points. Your video was long, and you just talked and talked and talked. And I read through some of the comments, and people are right. You like to hear yourself talk. And I'm not trying to be rude, but when you make a video to rag on people and talk about how the Pokemon community is toxic, yet all you did was you sort of talk down to people who didn't agree with you the entire time, there's something wrong with that. And so you need to just take a step back and probably think about what you say before you go out and make a video where hundreds of thousands of people are going to watch it. Because I saw how many views it got, and congratulations. But at the same time, I also noticed that you disabled the likes and dislikes, probably because you don't like when people dislike what you have to say. When I make my videos, I can have more dislikes than likes. I don't care because I said what I said. That's what I'm here to do. But that's not what you're here for, I don't think. You're here to just talk a bunch of noise. And I understand that you're a Pokatuber. Congratulations. Good for you. But at the same time, you're so condescending about it. And it's just rude. That's just how it goes. Now, let's get to the topic at hand here. You said something that was so like left field that it just blew me away. You said that if you are against talking about the audience who may be against Pokemon Let's Go and Pokemon Go in general, you said that if we're against those games, then that means we are against Pokemon. How can you just jump from one to the other like that? That doesn't make any sense to me. And for you to be so sure that people that hate Pokemon Let's Go and people that hate Pokemon Go also hate Pokemon, that just, to me, it doesn't make any sense. That's borderline psycho freaky crazy. How you can just jump from one to the other and just say, "Oh yeah, that's fact. It's true. If you don't like this game, the game that I like, oh then you're fucking crazy. You're toxic. You don't matter. You're not part of the hardcore fan base." It just doesn't make any sense to me. You need to cut that stuff out because that's not how it works. I love Pokemon. I love the show. I love the cards. I love all the games. But Pokemon Let's Go was not something that I was looking forward to. It's not something that I wanted. I'm not going to go out there and say, yo, fuck these games. I did make a video. Yes, I did, about people who were complaining, saying, they don't want these games. They didn't ask for them. If you don't want them, don't buy them. But you're advocating that people have to like these games in order to be a Pokemon fan. And that to me is wrong. It's wrong. And if you don't understand that, then I don't know if there's any point in going further, but I'm still gonna. Anyway, um, you said the content of the games proves that this series is for both veterans and newbies. How does a game's content prove that? Personally, I've seen this game. I've seen it being played, and as a veteran of the Pokemon series, I would be bored as balls playing this game. It's so boring. And the fact that you can have two people fighting against one individual Pokemon, that to me is just stupid. It doesn't make any sense. That's not hardcore. That's not veteran stuff. It's more new ways to make the game simple. I don't want simplicity. I want something that's a little more difficult. Pokemon Let's Go is not a hardcore game. It's not for veterans. It's not for people that know about IVs, that know about EVs. It's not for any of those people. That's a veteran type of system, and that's not in Pokemon Let's Go. So, how does the content of that game prove that it's still for veterans like myself if the mechanics that make it a veteran game are not included? doesn't it mean the exact opposite, that it isn't for veterans? I understand that you're a hardcore Pokemon gamer, whatever, that's fine, but what does that have to do with me? I'm a hardcore Pokemon gamer too, and I think Pokemon Let's Go is boring as balls. The contents of the game doesn't mean anything. It means absolutely nothing to the fan base. Either you like it or you don't. Either you're a vet or you're a newbie. I don't know. You said that these are your second best. These are your second favorite games behind Heart Gold and Soul Silver, because of how they make you feel, the sentimental value that they give you. Who cares about you and your sentimental value? I've got a stuffed animal in my closet right now that was given to me in the second grade by a teacher that I absolutely adored. To you, that stuffed animal means jack shit. You don't care about that stuffed animal, and I don't care that you don't care. The fact that you care about these games so much means absolutely nothing to me. The fact that you're willing to talk down to me and people like me that don't like these games simply because you do bothers me, though. And that's why I'm making this video. Just because you like something doesn't mean that when someone else doesn't, you can talk down to them. So knock it off. You seem to want people to validate your opinions while completely invalidating everyone else's. And that's wrong. That's like wanting your cake and eating it too. That's being superficial, and that's having a double standard. Get over yourself. You this is okay. So I was a marketing minor. I know minor, right? You know, I shouldn't know much about marketing, but I know this much. The numbers that you're talking about, the numbers that are published by the company, those may not be the real numbers. They have all of these different people that come together that write up these reports, and the finished product is a summary. And so for you to go out of your way and say that these games are more successful than their 3DS and other their sister games, doesn't make any sense, because you can't measure ROI, return on investment, based off the numbers that you showed in your video, saying that, oh, well, this game only sold 10,000 copies, but it's $20 more expensive than the other ones, yada, 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 yada. You don't have the numbers. First off, how much did it cost to produce these games versus the ones for the other system? How much did the system cost to produce versus the handheld system? And things like that. There are things that you don't know. You're just sort of making generalized statements based off of partial evidence, and you don't have that right. You can't just come on out and say that this game was outright more successful because it's more expensive to buy for the consumer, and it, even though it sold less, it's a little bit more expensive, so it had to be more. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. As I'm saying it right now, I'm still trying to understand your logic and how you jump to that conclusion based off the information that you know, which is, I can guarantee you, not very much. You don't know what you're talking about, is basically what I'm saying. You don't know what you're talking about. There are things that you think you know that you don't know. So on that subject, educate yourself first, and then go out and throw out this video about why this game is so much more successful. Actually do some more research, in depth, look at the actual statements before that people put together, before they put out this report that they published for the public to see. And then you might have a little backtracking moment. You may be correct, but I'm almost certain that you're not. This goes again to what we're just talking about, what I was just talking about. You said they're undeniably successful. How can you say they're undeniably successful? Again, you don't know the ROI, the return on investment, how much these games actually made. You don't know about the licensing. You don't know about who gets paid what. You don't know how much of it goes to Nintendo versus goes to Game Freak, goes to this person, goes to that person. You have no idea what you're talking about. They're undeniably successful because the person who made the games comes out and says, "Oh, these games were more successful than I thought." That doesn't mean they're more. That doesn't mean they're undeniably successful. That means he didn't have much faith in his own product. And that right there should tell you something. If the person who made the game comes out and says, "Oh, I was surprised at how successful these games were," that should tell you how much confidence they had in their own product. And that should alarm you more than anything else. You jumped at that and you were so excited. Yeah, this game was more excited, more better than the person who made it even said it was going to be. That right there is, to me, it's alarming. You obviously took it and ran with it, but for me, that's not something to, about. That's one of those, okay, you had no idea what you had. It was an accident. He had an accident and he ended up making it more profitable than he thought it was. Whoop-de-doo. Also, the entire video that you had up said that it was confirmed that Let's Go Johto was being made. There was no actual confirmation. Like, there was none. So, clickbait? 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 Was it clickbait? Come on now, was it clickbait? You can change the title of your videos, you know. I advise you to go in there and change the video. Because, yeah, that was clickbait. But anyway, this is the point that I am trying to make about my stance. Not about these games, but about the company involved with them in the first place. Pokemon has always been very strategic with their marketing, and they have always created two versions of the same product and pushed them out to fans. Ruby and Sapphire, same games with different legendaries and a few different Pokemon, and then the teams are a little different. But those are the two most different, most unique games as far as the same generation goes. Because the other generations have the same teams and they have different legendaries, but it doesn't really mean much. Pokemon has always duplicated their product and tweaked it a little bit and send it out to us. They have been very strategic about it, as I said, but in the more recent years, they've had this "I don't give a fuck about my fans" mentality. Case in point, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. They advertised the hell out of that game. And they showed in their commercials Team Rocket coming back. Oh, there are new Pokemon to be found. Yet they failed to tell everyone that all of this is going to be post game after you play through Sun and Moon again for the second time. They didn't bother to tell anyone, oh, well, the game that we produced a year ago actually was a prototype or it wasn't finished all the way. We decided that we were going to finish it finally and then roll it out to you and call it a new game when in actuality it's the same game with DLC added to it for the same price. That was to me a dirty trick. As far as marketing goes, I never would have done that because it would have pissed a lot of people off, which it did, rightfully so. And then to come out and say, you know what, we're switching. Those are gonna be our last games on the DS. We're gonna switch to the Switch, and the first games they come out with are non-hardcore games. No Sinnoh remakes, no Gen 8. They came out with Let's Go. You talked about people and their expectations. It's not an we didn't expect them to do anything. We wanted them to listen to us. We wanted to be heard, and they don't care. But that's what it boils down to is they are saying fuck you to the fans. You can look at it however you want to look at it, but from my perspective, from someone who's been in marketing, I never would have done that move. That move was just, to me, was just dirty. And then to say, oh, don't worry, hardcore gamers, we've got a game coming up for you in a year. I've been a part of the Pokemon community since 1995, 1996, or whenever it came out. And I've been putting in my own money for about 12 years now. That stopped after Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and it won't continue until I know for a fact that they are going to start listening to us as a community. You have the Super Smash series that the guy who created it, I forgot what his name is, Sakurai or whatever, he heard his fans. He put in Ridley. He put in King K. Rool. He's giving us characters we didn't even know we wanted. Characters that we didn't even think were possible into Smash Ultimate. That is a good franchise because they listen to what we ask for. They will come out and say, you know, some of these things aren't possible. Some of these things we just can't do feasibly. They're just too hard. But they don't ignore us like the Pokemon Company seems to do. The Pokemon Company, Game Freak, will make decisions without testing any sort of anything about what we as fans want, and they push it on us. And I just got tired of seeing for the Pokemon Let's Go, so many people were just so upset that they were getting these games, and they were like, oh, well, I guess I'll just go out and buy them anyway. That is why the Game Freak company and Pokemon don't give a fuck about us, because they know that they can push anything out on us and we'll stand out there and buy it. I didn't, and I'm not, because it's wrong. You don't shit on your old customers that gave you all of those billions of dollars over 20 plus years to try and access a new market, a new niche market. Because let's face it, Pokemon Let's Go, I'm sorry, Pokemon Go was a failing app until Pokemon Let's Go came in to boost it up. The app was failing. The company was making promises that they couldn't keep, and it was making a lot of people very, very angry. The drop rates when people stopped playing that app, they went down. And you can try and argue that point all you want until Let's Go came out and sort of made Pokemon Go and Let's Go compatible. People didn't give a fuck about that app. I put money into Pokemon Go and I stopped because they were not delivering the promises that they kept, putting out there. And so Pokemon Go Let's Go comes out, and it's just another slap to the face. Gen 8 is where? Gen 4 remakes are where? We deserve to be validated. We deserve to be acknowledged. If you don't want to make these games, or if you can't make these games, let us know. Just say, you know what, we hear you. We understand. But at this point in time, we are unable, with the technology that we have, with the teams that we have, with the coders, with anything, our resources, we can't do it. And then that would make everything all right. But for them to not just be radio silent and say, congratulations, we got some new games for you guys, and to deliver Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, someone who's a hardcore vet, someone who studied marketing, that's bullshit. That's complete bullshit. You don't segregate your target market. You said that there's you Verlisify said that there is just like these two camps. These people created these two camps. You can say that the internet did this or the internet did that, but that's not true. That's not the case. The company did this to itself. They created these camps by creating these games and being radio silent for the entire time while they were doing it, for marketing something one way when it was really another. The Pokemon Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, that's what I'm talking about. You can say what you want to say, but I'm sorry. Everything that you said in that whole video about Pokemon Johto, Let's Go Johto, generalizations, false facts, things that just aren't true. I'm not going to call them a lie, but I think you need to go and check some things out. And you need to stop being so condescending in what you say to people. You're really abrasive in what you say. And you don't like validating other people's opinions if they are the exact opposite of yours. I don't like Pokemon Let's Go, and I never will. I never will. You can think that they're the most successful games in the world. You can think they're the best games in the world. I will never, ever like them because I know that they are not for me. That's not me being toxic. That's me knowing myself well enough to not go out and spend $60 on one game that, first off, I already have. I already have Fire Red. I don't need Pokemon Let's Go. Whatever. You can do whatever you want to do. You can say whatever you want to say. This is just my message to you. You're going to lose a lot of really good fans by doing what you're still doing.